This is where it gets complex because it's like the chicken and the egg, kind of this weird like Bermuda Triangle where if you get caught in the middle, like none of it happens. You have
God.
to so like and specifically in Christian music is what we're familiar with the most. It's like if you don't have the song or you don't have the manager or you don't have the label, then you don't have the booking agency.
Oh, let's
So
talk
it's
about that
like
quick.
so for example, if you have the song, that's like your big, let's say your big radio hit because it's been radio forever.
Yep.
Now it makes it a million times easier for a Christian booking agency to go book tours for you because people will come to your shows and be like, I'm here for that song that I heard on the radio. But the thing is, like, in order to have, for example, the traditional sense, in order to have the relationship with the label, you have to have a reputable manager willing to take a shot on you. And then the manager can go on your behalf and then shop you around to labels and people that different label heads that they
Yeah.
know. And then it's like, okay, then that needs to happen. And then you have to have a hit song. And then after that, the partnership with the booking. So it's like, it kind of like the traditional way, it kind of all has to happen at once.
And
Unless you can do the indie route and fabricate a lot of that stuff yourself and get the hit songs and things like that. For example, like a Forrest Frank or like whatever. And
yeah,
that it is possible. It's becoming more and more possible.
I will say this though. So working with that booking agency for a year and a half, what I learned was this: they will not sign artists that don't have managers. Anyone care to guess why? Because, and I can say this because Joey and I are artists. Artists are the worst to work with directly. Here's why. Shows and booking and all these things, they operate very well, but they're logistical. They are A, B, C, check off the list, do the thing, boring as can be. This stuff, oh, hey, the promoter wants this question. Now we have to go back to the artist and ask the artist for this. Oh, the promoter's changing this up. Now we have to go back and get whatever this from the artist. Artists, it's very difficult to typically get consistent, reliable communication back and forth as opposed to a manager, because that's the manager's one job. It's like, yo, you literally just talk to everybody and leverage things and make relationships. So GOA, they wouldn't sign any artist unless that artist had a manager. Same with labels. The major labels wouldn't sign any artist unless the artist didn't even just have a manager, had a reputable manager, one of the bigger managers, because they know that if that manager is running him, they believe in that manager, so it's easy for them to work with that manager.
Can you
So
give some tips on how to get a manager?
it literally comes back to leverage, guys. So your job as artists is, as we're making music and putting projects out, we're trying to create leverage, something that grows that we can take and go to somebody and say, hey, look at this thing that we did. It has value. Does it have enough value for you to believe in us enough to step into this role? Again, the biggest value I think as artists that artists can accrue these days solo by themselves is an organic fan base. And where are you going to do that? Social media. Using these tactics to go viral, create content, build genuine fans. Because when there's genuine fans, well, those are real people that a manager then can go and sign on and leverage for shows and tours. Because like, oh no, they're like, these are real fans, guys. Like they're obsessed with this person. They're gonna show up. They're gonna buy stuff. Does that kind of make sense? It's a little frustrating that it all kind of seems to come back to social media. But if you're like at the bottom and just getting started, like how else do you plan on standing out, right? Or with Eleni, you've got a project that's coming out next year that's gonna shoot up the numbers, and so that's another opportunity. It's like if you can get another band that's bigger than you, or like a one-off label deal or something where it's like, if I do this, my numbers go up. I have leverage now, because I wouldn't be shocked next year, Eleni, if some of these managers start circling back. They're like, oh, whoa, a couple 100,000, 300,000, like Spotify's blowing up. I see your content's now going viral on Instagram. They're going to be like, wow, now it's time, now we can work with this because of all this stuff happening. Just be really careful when that time comes. If you ever do get any deals, please send
Yeah.
them our way so that we can just make sure that they're not gonna screw everything up for you,
No,
man.
like, literally for everybody who's watching this video, like, this is the whole point of why the Anthem Network exists, because I don't know who gets a worse rap, record labels or managers. I think they're probably tied with, like, the slimiest, shadiest deals that you could probably get, and
Mhm.
we've been through our own with managers and labels. And so
Didn't one of them
and
cost
that's the
Mass
thing.
Anthem like 8 grand or something to get out of from a sunset clause? I think there
Well,
was.
that's we learned what a sunset clause was the hard way.
Do you mind telling us
Basically,
that the easy way?
Ever feel like the music industry is a private club and nobody gave you the password? We did too. We started as artists, we got rejected by labels, tours canceled by COVID. We spent years trying to get people to believe in us, and it didn't work. So we learned how to build it ourselves. Now we've generated over 500 million streams on our music. We've helped over 1,000 other artists run marketing campaigns, and we even now own and run our very own record label. So if you're tired of guessing your way through your music career, join the Anthem Network. Get your 7-day free trial by clicking the link in the description below. We'll see you there.
so I'll give you a scenario. Say, okay, Eleni, I'm going to sign you for a 3-year management deal,
Great.
and if you ever quit, let's say you quit within the 3 years, we have a sunset clause. Let's say I would say the average management deal is 15%.
Yeah, it might even more like 20,
Might be more now. I don't know.
like 20,
But let's say
maybe
it's
20.
okay, 15%, 3-year deal. The sunset clause is okay, after this deal, it's going to be, let's say the first year after you're done with your deal, I'm still making 10% off of you. And then it's going to go down to 5% the second year. And then it's going to go down to 3% the third year. And I'm not even managing you. It's 3 years later after I'm done managing you. But you signed the deal and
That's
you
one
agreed to
version.
give me a percentage for the following 3 years after I'm done working for you.
That makes sense because if a manager's actually doing their job, then they're building something that like you're going to profit 100% of 3 years after you sign the deal. So
If
I understand it.
if being
But
the key
also
word there, because in this level, guys, there's a lot of people who say they're managers and have connections and can get you hooked up, and it sounds great, and it's like they pitch you on this, and you're like, "This is everything that I've ever needed." Well, and then they fall short, and it turns out they can't actually follow up on that. Well, now you're in that contract for them. So now when you're done 3 years later, they're still getting their cuts, and that's where that situation sucks. So it's like
Mhm.
if you get the biggest, best manager who actually follows through on what he or she is saying, well, hooray, then it's not a big deal. But if not, and it seems like most of the independent, like Christian artists, kind of end up getting somebody who doesn't live up to the expectations, then you're stuck in that situation. The second thing, too, is there's another version of sunset clauses or exit clauses that artists aren't aware of. Sometimes, if the artist wants to break contract prematurely, there's a buyout. You gotta give that manager cash. And I think there was one, I forget who the manager was, Joey with Mass Anthem at that time, but I thought it was like 8 grand or something, like, we had.
That was our settlement. We s- we basically, so at that point
Yeah,
we wanted to hop over to a more reputable manager,
you're
and
talking with
he was
Rhett or
helping us.
Zach Williams.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So he actually helped us through that process, and he basically was like, "You have to play hardball with him and say we'll give you some money up front." And I
to
think
just
that
get out of
ended
it.
up being like
Yeah,
8 grand to just buy him out of that sunset clause and be done.
yeah, yeah.
And that's how we got out of it.
Which, by the way, for 8 grand at that time for the group was we
It's a
didn't
lot.
have any of it.
Everything, like
That was
everything in
COVID
the bank
alone.
account. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was like,
that was empty everything. So
yeah, that
be
was
really careful
recording
about
production
those
money.
those agreements. Again, guys, it's like the whole point of this Anthem network is that we're going to be open and honest and share our experiences, and everybody's like able to do that. So that if one of you does end up getting some sort of offer from a label,
Or a
bring it to me
manager.
or a manager or whatever. Bring it to me and Joey. Like, let us at least give you like our honest feedback on it, because you want the quickest way to burn your career to the ground, get stuck in an agreement that you can't get out of, and then you just can't do any more releases and like can't do any like get that happening, and then just time just ticks by, and it's like, oh, 2 years, the artist hasn't done anything. Oh, 3 years, the artist hasn't done anything. Yeah, everybody kind of forgets.
I think we chatted about this with Alex in our call. There's really I feel like no real way to put yourself back 10 years if by just doing the DIY, spending your own money on it. Like if you spent 10 grand on something right now, you're basically starting at zero again. But if you really want to put yourself behind, sign one of these deals with a manager or a record label, because that could actually put you back 10 years in your career. Like,
If you're not the main thing, right? So again, a lot of these people, they might pitch you that you're the main thing. They're going to go all in on you, and then if they don't, that's the situation. You're rolling the dice. So it's these partnerships, guys, like they're a double-edged sword, and it can go really well, or it can go pretty awful. And then you're dealing with contracts and attorneys and lawyers and like,
while we're on the topic of managers, there's two scenarios that I've seen. There's you pay by the month or they take a percentage. Where we were at, and you'll be able to tell if the manager thinks you're worth it or not if they want to take a percentage of what you're doing.
because
Because
they'll
it's actually more valuable to you in the long run if you pay them the money up front every month to manage you for
if you
their
pop
fee.
off.
If you pop off, but like if they're willing to take a percentage, like 15% or whatever, 20%, then they like really kind of believe in what you're doing and what your stuff is actually valuable and it's going to make them money.
But we do know managers in this space, guys, where they're making their artists pay them like,
I think it was like $1,000 a
like
month or
a grand a
something.
month to be managed
Uh,
just for the
And
opportunity.
but the thing is, like, they probably didn't know. And so he was probably thinking, I bet you I can get them to pay me $1,000 a month. And they do.
It's either that or they have to know that they can get this artist out touring and that this artist wants to go be on the road 24/7 doing shows, that the manager can make 20% off every show. Because at this level, the streaming income probably isn't there yet for the manager to be making much money. So it's like, okay, here's what my time is worth. If I'm a good manager, how do I get that money? Either you're paying me up front or you're out on the road 24/7 and letting me like do this for you, or your streaming is through the roof and I can take a percentage of that as well.
Before you head out, if that session gave you just one good idea, imagine what'll happen when you're actually in the room with us every week. That's what the Anthem Network is all about. Artists connecting, getting real-time feedback, and taking action together. You can join right now with a 7-day free trial and be part of the next live call for free. Don't just watch other artists grow with them. Click the link in the description and we'll see you on the next call.